This is going to be a spiral drop swirl. I've done a couple of these on other videos, including the one that looks like and smells like newly mown grass. In this case, I'm going to use a white background and then a hot purpley pink and a bright green alternating stripe. And I'm going to be using a lilac fragrance in it. For colors, I'm using Nurture Soap's Winter White Mica as my background color. And then I'm going to use two colors that are new to me from TKB Trading. One called Raging Raspberry, and the other one is Neon Green. So I'm going to try for two very brightly colored stripes on that white background. And then for fragrance, it's Nature's Garden Lilac Fragrance Oil, which is said not to accelerate if you work with the oils at room temperature, so I'm going to try to do that. It does discolor slightly to a cream, but I think that's okay. Here is the recipe that I'm using, calculated on soapcalc.com. It is coconut oil, lard, olive oil, and high oleic sunflower oil. So that should make a fairly soft soap that's quite slow to react, which should give a lot of time for putting patterns into it. This is a spiral drop swirl, and I'm really glad I made it that way, because had I tried to do a corner pour or a column pour, it would have moved much too fast for me. So this is another video of kind of damage control once it gets started. The lilac fragrance oil that I'm using is said not to accelerate if used at room temperature. I use it at a little over 100 degrees, which I admit is above room temperature, but it's not terribly hot, and it accelerated a lot. So it worked okay with a drop swirl. I was able to use it. It was like working with thin pudding, but I wouldn't have wanted to do anything that took more time than that. My oils are at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. My lye's at 111, so that's close enough to room temperature. As always, I've got a pitcher of warm water here just to keep the stick filter in to rinse it off. Looks like a pretty good emulsion. I usually hydrate my micas in a little bit of water, and this new mica that I'm using from TKB, as it turns out, doesn't mix with water very well. It just kind of floated on the top, so I'm going to have to whisk that in pretty thoroughly. The Winter White from Nurture Soap mixes with water easily. I don't know what the difference in nature is, since they're both micas. This is the Winter White, which I'll put back in the main pot. This batter is light enough, it would probably make a pretty white soap as it is with no color added, but I really want to be sure it's truly white with these hot colors on top. These colorful micas are mixing in very nicely with the soap batter. this up by hand, I think. So this did trace quickly, but it's still going to pour well. I think this should work fine for this kind of pattern. I'm really glad I'm not doing a column or a corner pour. I think it would be much too thick for that already. But for this use, it's kind of nice. So, as I usually do with a drop swirl, I'll go deep and then shallow. So here's the deep pour. Actually, since it's all the way to the top, I'm just going to do everything deep and hope that sinks in enough. It is sinking in, but there's quite a lot staying on the surface, which is good. Now, using the thick end of a chopstick, I'm going to make the swipes. Probably 3/4 of an inch apart. And then the same thing lengthways. And then spirals. Over here where I've got too much purple and not enough green, I'll try to swirl that in a little better. I think that'll be good. So what I'll do now is put that into a 170-degree oven for a couple of hours to C-pop it, and I'll show it to you when it's finished and cool. This is the freshly poured soap while it's still raw and, probably the texture of a medium vanilla pudding. Here's the soap the next day after it's cooled. I think it turned out rather well. The soap is thoroughly cooled now and ready to be unmolded and cut. using this mold for quite a while, and it has had drips of soap down the sides, so my masking tape doesn't want to stick well anymore. I've tried tying it on with yarn. I haven't really found a way to get that mold thoroughly clean. This is the 15 bar mold from Papa's Woodcraft, which I got on Etsy, and it has the miter cuts on the side to cut 15 equal size bars. Dump this onto some newspaper. Even though that batter thickened up much more quickly than I had hoped, I'm glad to see that the color reached the bottom. I was afraid it might not have. I'm not seeing any of the green at the bottom, but it obviously went through. So this is the edge that was against the side of the mold. This is a cut edge, another cut edge. This was also against the side of the mold. Here's the bottom and the top. I don't mind the kind of waviness of that top, but I probably will shave it off at some point. Another cut side and another one. The green didn't go as deep as the pinky purple in some cases, but I think it's okay. I do have some glycerin rivers there. Don't mind that either. Just some tops of individual bars. Of course, I'll trim those rough edges off. And here are some bars after I've trimmed the tops off. I just slice these off with a cheese cutter.